With data collected from telecommunication companies, government through the COVID-19 task force said this time the relief bailout to the vulnerable will be sent via mobile money.
And the vulnerable people are known. You cannot tell me you are a vulnerable person when your phone has been receiving millions of shillings. So even when they bring them on the list, we shall check your phone. He has been getting 500. He has been getting money. And then you say you are vulnerable. We shall cross that.
However, there are concerns that if government goes ahead with their approach, many affected Ugandans are most likely to miss out. A case in point are a group of stranded students from Kumba University who couldn't travel home due to the increased transport fares, but are worried about missing out on the relief fund since they often receive their tuition via mobile money.
We always receive tuition, hostel fee on our mobile money accounts. So we don't know if the government is also going to consider us.
I think it is really unfair to us as students. So we hope that maybe if they could reconsider and also put us as a group that should be eligible to receive.
However, as an indicator that the government is not yet decided on the manner of supporting the vulnerable, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Matiaka Saija, said they would use local council and leaderships to establish a register of the vulnerable who need the support in various areas.
People who cannot afford to feed themselves in this period, we will depend on information given to us by the LC chairperson.
Kasaja's message prompted some to run to their area LCs to have their names registered before they miss out on the cash relief. Among these is Usta Tusime, a resident of Chimwani Zone in Katanga.
Last year, COVID so katabatu anakau tutwa kalaba. Naguru no murundi nzize mu chairman abana we bali waka saba kaunga wa chairman. Wanga tawali ekyokulya.
And still many are not happy with the system of basing on the transactions that have been transactions on their SIM cards, because many have bosses who at times send cash through their mobile lines. Others operate small businesses and have been using their mobile money in other different ways. So they've expressed their dissatisfaction towards that kind of assessment.
Residents here suggest government should distribute the cash bailout physically through a door-to-door like it was with the food support last year.
They managed to deliver posho last time in Katanga here, so they should at least use the same system to deliver that money. Otherwise, we are going to see a lot of fraud and corruption in that system, and many of the intended beneficiaries will end up missing out.
With this in mind, Madina Mwagale Glover, a senior research fellow at the Economic Policy Research Center in Makerere University, has advised government to give the relief fund to homes as opposed to individuals.
Targeting of individuals for this short run now is also not sufficient. It's going to create lots of rumbling around on terms you find a household is getting 500,000 because to looking at the numbers and phone usage of mobile money transfers. But in case they looked at homes, you might find in a home there are even more than 15 people, but 100 is going to be distributed, and it's going to ease off effects more than it could have done if at an individual level. So household effects are higher than individual level effects, because you might not know where the individual is taking the money, but at least you know as a household if they received, there will be accountability for it within the home.
Glover adds that the money should be given to those whose sources of income were affected by the lockdown and not all vulnerable.
So we have around 3 million households in that category. Those who are actually in chronic poverty, it's the people, even if you give, they still remain that way. But we want to look at people who, if you support in any way, you are removing them from that category of being perpetually poor or temporarily poor. So those are the people you want to maintain, at least for this remaining time of the lockdown. You don't want them in that kind of destitution, because sometimes it can be permanent in case nothing's done.
She has also advised government to invest more in research for better planning in case of the calamities like the current one of the COVID-19 epidemic. The government is planning a cabinet meeting on Monday to determine the final plan on how to handle the matter. John Cliff Wamala, NTV, Weekend Edition.